Welcome back to another video, citizens. This is Matt with Mad Realm Gaming, and today I'm going to be showing off some ship combat while bounty hunting. This is some fun PvE content that can net you over 200,000 UEC an hour, depending on the ship and how quickly you can actually complete these bounties. But overall, I find it's really just a good time to play the game. Now I'm going to be going over which loadouts you can pick up for a cheap price for the Cutlass Black, Avenger Titan, Mustang, and Aurora, where you can do these missions and show off how easily you can actually bang them out. As always, if you like this video or know somebody who will, please leave a like and comment below. I'd also really appreciate if you click that subscribe button, as these videos take quite a bit of work to get out. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. Now, as you can see here, I'm focusing on authorized execution warrants. I've got my call to arms, and I'm also grabbing CS2s, 3s, and 4s. I'm using a pretty easy to build Cutlass Black for this loadout. I'm actually using an FR76 shield generator, 4 Badger laser repeaters, gimbals, and I've swapped out 2 of the missile racks, so I now have 12 size 3 arrestor missiles. The missile racks are actually free to swap out because I just pulled them off of my freelancer that I got for the free loaner. Now, as for the FR76 and the Badgers, the Cutlass comes with 2 lasers by default, and you can grab the shield and the other 2 repeaters at New Babbage. It's just over 10k for the 2 lasers and 38k for the shield. If you can't afford them right now, it's really not that big of a problem. Just do some bounties and you actually should be able to afford them pretty quickly. The Gatling weapons will also work pretty fine for CS1 through 3, but I do recommend swapping to those Badger laser repeaters. And as you can see here through the footage, I have them overclocked the entire time, just because they can burn a ship down so quickly, especially these NPC ships. Keep in mind that when fighting one of these ships compared to a player ship, these all have lower shield scores, so they will go down quicker than a player in one of these ships. So keep that in mind. This isn't really a good gauge for PvP, it's just a really good way to actually get some combat in and get used to the game. Now, part of the reason I do prefer this loadout for PvE is the enemies don't even really bother trying to dodge your arcs. A lot of them will just joust with you, and as you can see in this footage, you can use a combination of missiles and swapping targets to even take your enemies out at the exact same time. So if you take a look here, I lock one, I send a couple missiles his way. I think I sent 4 because it was just a Mustang, and then as soon as I see that those have been launched, I swap over to the next target and I start lighting that guy up. Boom, they both go down. Now, again, this isn't great practice for PvP, but you will get plenty of familiarity with your ship and a strong understanding of its movement limitations, as well as its responsiveness, which will really help when you start trying to transition to doing PvP. These bounties are also what I feel is one of the greatest ways to immerse yourself in a solid gameplay loop and get some of your money's worth for this game, since this and mining are basically the 2 most polished game states that I think, at least the ones that I've experienced. Now, ship combat in this latest patch has also felt really rewarding for me. Like as you can see, this dogfight's much longer than the last couple. This is the CS4, and this is when I got hit with a lot of missiles that kind of took my shields out. This one had me kind of sweating about halfway through. I wasn't actually sure if I was going to make it out. It's been a nice change of pace, though, from the combat in the last patch, where people would largely circle strafe or backpedal. And, don't get me wrong, you can still kind of use those tactics sometimes in 310, but it's far more situational. And I kind of feel like that's the way that they should be. You shouldn't always have to backpedal in your Cutlass. There should be a little bit of jousting involved, maybe a little strafing, and I think it's good that they've slowed everybody down a little bit, because now you're not just getting absolutely swamped by the faster ships. Don't get me wrong, they're still really good and they're still very strong in their own way, but having things slowed down a little bit, I feel like I'm not just trying to shoot at a pixel as it blows past me, although I'm sure most people have said that by now. Now, my preferred method of dealing with the NPCs is actually just to take advantage of their low maneuverability and just keep an eye out for those missiles. As you can see, I keep shutting down every single one of the infrared missiles they send at me, just throwing a whole lot of flares out. And what you got to do really is try to take out the faster ships first, and then work your way up from there, because I feel like those smaller ships are usually going to be what does the shield harassment that stops you from regenerating. So those are always going to be a prime target, especially because you usually can outrun the faster ship, or the bigger ships when you go to like a fleet combat. You know, you're going to have a harder time outrunning an M50 than you are a Cutlass Black. Now, if I could take them out in the joust, I like to switch to the next fastest ship and then try to whittle them down from there. The problem that you do run into, though, is when you're doing something harder like this on the CS4, the NPCs do start popping a lot of missile payloads at you. So you want to make sure that you're keeping up on those flares a lot. And again, with this loadout, you have a lot of size 3 missiles. So use them on the CS4s and try to reserve them for those, because you're typically going to end up facing things like a Vanguard or Cutlasses. And you really need that extra oomph if you want to take them out quickly. Otherwise, those little fighters are going to swarm you if you don't take them out first. Now, I've taken quite a bit of damage in this one, so I just hop over to the next point, see if I can survive this whole round of bounties. And then this brings me to the last one for this whole batch. So overall, it went pretty well. I did take a lot of damage and I blew through all my missiles. Normally, this is about the point where I would consider turning around, refueling, repairing, and rearming, or sometimes it's actually better to just self-destruct and then go respawn your ship. Especially if you're here at Everest. For some reason, you can't refuel, rearm, and all that stuff at Everest Harbor. I'm not sure if it's intended or if it's a bug. I know you can do it at Lorville, but I find it's better to just blow your ship up, since a lot of these combat ships, you know, at most you're going to be waiting 2 minutes for them to respawn. So take advantage of that. That's less time than it usually takes to get back to the port, land, run back over to the panel, you know, go through all that process. So yeah, that was pretty easy. I actually decide, you know, screw it, since I'm recording right now, I'm already out in space. I pick up an entire new batch of bounties and authorized execution warrants. And then I start over. Let's say you don't have a Cutlass Black and you want to run these missions with something like a 325A, Avenger Titan, or a Mustang. For the 325 and the Titan, I would recommend 1 gimbaled size 3 Panther laser repeater and 2 size 2 Badger laser repeaters. Just like with the Cutlass, you'll get a good alpha and sustained DPS with these, allowing you to kind of strip the shields away really quickly and maintain a pretty fast kill time. And you're looking at just under 20k for the weapon loadout. On the 325A, it does cost a little more because you need to pick up the gimbals unless you want to use fixed weapons, but if you're flying Origin, do you really care about price? For shields, you're going to run an FR66 and a Palisade. This gives you both a really quick refresh rate from the FR66, allowing you to take advantage of your speed and fly out of combat to regen, and the Palisade so that you have overall high shield HP pool. Total, it's only going to cost you about 42k for these, which can seem like a lot when you're first starting the game, but it's actually well worth the investment. Combining these 2 shields on small ships, since most of them do have the 2 slots, it's easily the most effective shielding method that I've found for small ships. But let me know in your comments below if there's anything that you've encountered that you think's better for a size 1 ship. Now, the Mustang is viable for these missions, but keep in mind that without a missile payload, even considering the rocket pods, you'll actually want to do CS1s instead of CS4s. This way you get to take advantage of the speed of a Mustang to keep quickly moving from bounty to bounty. Although honestly, I don't have a lot of piloting advice for the Mustang as I haven't used it a lot, but the loadout that I found successful when I was using it was to actually swap all the weapons out for 2 size 1 Yellow Jackets and 2 size 2 Scorpion. This way you're using all Gatling weapons, it only costs 25k for the loadout, and it's really easy to get missions in and this outfit done on this ship. Just like the 325A and the Titan though, you're going to want to put the FR66 and the Palisade combo for the shields on this ship. Now the Aurora is going to have a harder time with these missions than pretty much any other ship that's designated as a fighter. If you're using the MR, you need to pick up 2 more size 1 gimbal mounts and 2 Yellow Jackets to mount on them. 4 Yellow Jackets is actually a pretty good weapons loadout that I see a lot of people suggesting for the Aurora. But I actually had the Aurora as my starter ship, and I can say that I preferred using the Bulldog laser repeaters, since you're looking at only 13k for 4 Bulldogs, plus another 2k for the gimbals. It's only 15k to swap your weapons out for that. And, you know, for the 2 Yellow Jackets, it's going to cost you 11.2k, almost 12k, if you have to buy the gimbals as well. So, you know, like the Mustang above though, you do want to make sure that you have the FR66 and the Palisade running on this ship. It costs 42k, same as the other ones, but when you're looking at 57k to fully upgrade the ship, this is probably the cheapest one to load out for this. But again, you know, something like a CS3 is probably going to give you a hard time, and CS4s are pretty much out of the question unless you picked up the Aurora LN and you're a very good pilot. Now this was actually the second really good fight that I had when I was doing this round. I really enjoy this new flight system. As you can see, like, the ship has a lot more weightiness to it. It seems like the armor actually matters now, because even though I have a couple components floating there at red, I can still take quite a few hits, and it's not going to take me out. So yeah, definitely really enjoying 310, especially for combat. So to summarize, make sure that you're using overclocked laser repeaters, at least that's what I have the best luck on taking NPCs out with. Make sure that if you're using a small ship, you've got the FR66 and the Palisade as your shields. If you're using a larger ship, like something like a Cutlass Black, make sure you're using an FR76 shield generator. If you have 2 slots, I would recommend a Bulwark as well. Make sure that you're trying to get these missions done as quickly as possible. Don't be afraid to use your missiles on the CS3s and CS4s while you're getting used to it. And really the big thing to remember is that it's all up to what you want to do and whatever is the most fun for you. If you don't like these loadouts and you have loadout suggestions that you think are either more effective or you have more fun with them, go ahead and suggest them in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. I love trying out new loadouts all the time. It really makes the combat a lot more varied and fun. On top of that also, you can see clearing out this final warrant gets us to a total of about 77,000 credits. So there you go, that's about 20 minutes of combat condensed down, 77,000 credits. You do 3 of those complete circuits in an hour and you're going to get well over 200,000 UEC. And that about does it for my suggestions on what you should do for bounty hunting in 3.10. If you like the video, remember to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and share the video with anybody that you think might like it. Thank you again for making it all the way to the end. I really appreciate the amount of growth that my channel's had in the last week, and I look forward to putting more content out for you guys. Until next time, see you in the verse.